Welcome to NFTs Live. I'm your host, Tyler D. It is Friday, October 1st. Welcome to Q4. It feels like all eyes are on the NFT market right now, and what is going to come here starting in October. But there's a lot of excitement building. For our show today, I am going solo. We have a lot to cover. But first, we are very excited to announce a new sponsor for our show, IC.Tools. For those that follow our show, we actually highlighted IC Tools in our very first episode, and we use their trending dashboard for our daily morning market updates that we post to our Twitter feed. So we're very happy to be partnering with them. A little bit more about IC. As a beginner in NFTs, it can be very difficult to know where to start looking. There are millions of NFTs out there in literally an open sea of JPEGs. I know I was overwhelmed at first and didn't know where to start. This is where IC Tools comes in and can help. IC Tools is essentially an NFT data aggregator that pulls data across NFT marketplace activity and produces visualizations and analytic dashboards in a very user-friendly format. Their primary features are trending, discovery, and watch. So trending is where you can see which projects have the highest sales volume in different intervals as short as 15 minutes, a daily view, or even a 3-day view. And you can quickly see where the money is flowing in NFTs at any given time. I know I use this information to see both the macro views of which projects are dominating the market, as well as micro views, on shorter intervals to see which projects are catching steam on the hourly to see if I want to jump in or not. Then there's the discovery feature, which is a similar view as trending, but related to projects that are actively minting. So in the very initial sales phase on the primary market, as opposed to the secondary. And as folks may or may not know, a lot of NFT projects are dropped in stealth mode and not really heavily announced. So this dashboard feature discovery allows you to find projects that are minting, how fast they're minting, who's buying them, that may not even been on your radar. So I know that's how I use the tool. I can see products that I may not have known about. I can see, what volumes they're minting at, who's buying them, and help inform my decisions if I want to jump in or not. And lastly, the watch, which may be the most powerful feature in their product. So this is where you can track wallets, i.e. like whales or some of the sharpest traders, to see what they're buying and selling. And you can also build a curated list of which projects that you want to select and follow. So I use this information arguably the most in my day-to-day trading. It informs the majority of my decisions. Understanding what the sharps are doing is integral to success in NFT trading. And again, with thousands of projects, with dozens dropping every day, having a curated list to follow allows you to filter out the noise and just track the projects you care about. So go over to IC.Tools to check it out. Start finding your own NFT alpha. They have a free version, which provides the trending info, and then the premium version at 0.03 Ethereum per month that unlocks those discovery and watch features. All right, well, thanks to our friends at IC. For our show today, we do have a quicker show, but a lot to cover. So we're going to start with some top news and hit the Dapper and NFL news. We're going to talk about Flow's new marketplace. We're going to talk about the controversy at Art Blocks, and then we'll go through some of our market updates. Sound good? All right, well, let's get started. So our top news story for today, and really for this week, is the Dapper Labs announcement that they are partnering with the NFL to create the NFL version of NBA Top Shot. This is huge news. I think a lot of us were expecting this to potentially happen. I think we thought there was going to be an NFL product. I think it was unclear if it was going to be with Dapper Labs or not. But this is definitely exciting. Dapper, proving that they have a long-term vision here, and this is just a major partnership. We saw a lot of market activity in NBA Top Shot as well this week after this announcement, as folks try to figure out ways to kind of cement themselves to get early access to the NFL product. Looking back at the NBA Top Shot market arc, certainly those who got in early there, made the most from their investments. We'll certainly see a different arc in the market with NFL, as there will be a lot more users right on the gun. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how this plays out, right? NFL moments are totally different than NBA. NBA teams have 5 players, versus NFL, right? And then, which type of players are actually going to have moments that would be good enough to make the site? So you're thinking probably quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, on the defensive end, maybe defensive ends with great sacks, linebackers, corners, safeties. It's going to be interesting to see how, which players actually get these moments. And then I think the $1 million question is, what's the name going to be, right? Like NBA Top Shot is such an iconic name. It's so good. It's really hard to predict. I've been scratching my head this week trying to come up with good names. Basics, NFL first down, NFL touchdown. Those don't seem to be it. I'll be curious to see what the market's guessing and then what actually comes out here. So big news from Dapper Labs, but I actually don't think that was even the number one story from Dapper. I think their launch of the Sturdy Exchange marketplace is actually bigger news. So Dapper Labs is, partnered with building out the Flow blockchain, separate from Ethereum, Solana, and others, a centralized one, so to speak. And they have launched their own marketplace and now their first generative PFP project called Hoodlums. This actually launched on September 29th. Here you can see on the screen a few images of what these PFP and what the art looks like. A couple cool things about Flow is they do accept both US dollars and cryptocurrency. So the Hoodlums went, I believe, $123 per Hoodlum. And then you could pay with credit card, or you could use cryptocurrency. So I actually did buy about 23 of these. I moved some Ethereum over. I will say it was an incredibly smooth buying experience. There was no gas, which was really nice. I say my only complaint was you can only buy one at a time versus buying in bulk, which we can typically see on other marketplaces. But congrats to Sturdy. For those looking to flip, you can't flip right now. There is no secondary. The marketplace is not open. We expect the marketplace to open here in a few weeks. The site is certainly in beta, and the team has said as much. I like Hoodlums. I like the idea of a first project on any new blockchain. Thinking about CryptoPunks on Ethereum. Well, that wasn't the first. It's certainly known as one of the first generative PFPs. There's the Fract project on Solana, which surged after its initial launch. I think there's potential for Hoodlums here. Certainly, if Flow takes off, it's a way to bet on the Flow blockchain, separately from NBA Top Shot and now their new NFL project. So a lot of eyes are going to be on this here to come. I think it'll be another nice way to onboard new users into NFTs who cryptocurrency might have been a barrier for them. So I think there certainly will be strong markets for US dollar buyers of NFTs. So I think we can unlock a huge new market here. It'll be fun to watch. Third story, I want to talk a little bit about the Twitter NFT verification. So we dropped the headline last week. Well, this week they already rolled out a video demo of how the PFP verification is going to work. It looks really seamless. So just like imagine changing your profile picture on your Twitter homepage right now, right? You click edit, you go through a gallery of your photos on your computer, and then you upload them. Well, it's pretty similar. So the way it'll work is you click edit, You'll then go to connect your wallet, and it will generate a list of your NFTs from your MetaMask. And then from there, you can select, make it your profile picture, but then you'll get what is like an Ethereum check mark, which is your verification. So I think that will be heavily sought after. And for those who have watched the video, stay tuned to the end, where they also showed a collectibles tab, which would be on your Twitter page, essentially where you can show off your NFT collection. I wasn't expecting that. That's really cool. Love what Twitter's doing. I was really impressed with how fast they rolled this demo out. So they're actively working on this. So I think all eyes on Twitter to see when this will officially be ready. Our fourth story for today, controversy in the art blocks world, or a tale of two projects and two markets. So for those who watched our show on Monday, Brett Richey and I were sweating the Sculptor drop by Peter Pasma, and I'm going to show that here on the screen. So those who weren't familiar, it was a Dutch auction. It started moving fairly quickly at the 6 Ethereum mark, and then it sold out at the 5 Ethereum mark. I was actively trying to mint at 5 Ethereum. I didn't get through. We then saw an immediate spike on the secondary. The floor rose to about 10 Ethereum or so. I actually bought one on secondary around that time. But then some news started to trickle out that one individual essentially set up 300 accounts, launched 300 bots, essentially at the gun at the 5 ETH mark, and was able to successfully emit 300 for themselves. So essentially when the sharps figured this out, everyone stopped buying. Liquidity immediately dried up from the Sculptor market. 46% of the inventory is on sale, or was at least a day or so ago, which is a huge amount of the volume. Just for relative comparison, some of the stronger projects have between 10 and 15% of the inventory on sale. So 46% is huge. The floor price for Sculptor has dropped. Tied to that, I believe it's actually below 4 Ethereum now, which is 33% or 20% below what the final mint price was, which I fully attribute to this bad actor as opposed to Peter Pasma or the art itself. I think the art itself is quite good. But I mentioned a tale of two projects. So on Tuesday, we saw the Meridians drop by Matt Deslauriers, which had a very similar Dutch auction result. So it went down to 6. Actually, a majority of the buyers fired at 6 Ethereum. It did finally close at 5. But then we saw the opposite reaction in the market on secondary. So we saw nice organic buying. After a day or so, I believe it was at 12 to 13 Ethereum. It was at 15 Ethereum floor yesterday afternoon. And then we saw some surging overnight. This morning, the floor for the Meridians project was 22 Ethereum. On the high end, we saw a 200 Ethereum sale for one of the most elite. I will say it is an absolutely beautiful project. The Meridians by Matt. He should be very proud. I think just stepping back and watching this market reaction was really interesting. I think headed into this week, both projects had this potential arc in the market. And I fully am in the camp that the only reason that Sculpture isn't on a similar arc is because of this single bad actor. So it's really interesting that single act could have such an impact on the market. I do think both products will be fine long term. I've got 2 Sculptures I plan on holding for a while. I think they absolutely can become an elite art block set. But we're certainly in for a bit of short-term pain. All right, those are our top stories for today. Now let's turn to our market update and we will look at our trending collections dashboard from our friends over at IC Tools. So let's start at the top of the board. No surprise, Art Blocks is in the #1 slot with over 8,400 ETH traded. Certainly that's on the back of the Meridians project action primarily. But we did see some marquee sales. There was a 950 Ethereum Fidenza sale a few days ago, and then a single buyer bought both a 225 ETH ringer as well as a 325 ETH ringer. So the Fidenzas and ringers remain, top of the board. They're seeing some big buying action. Number 2, CrypToadz by Grimplin. We've got to talk about this project. It is absolutely surging. It's only 22 days old. It's reached a 6 ETH floor. They've come out with multiple side projects already. They launched socks. There's a spin-off project. The flies are coming, and I think there's actually already a third project in the works. I'm going to go ahead and pull up their page for those who may not be aware of what the toads look like. So you can see the 2D imagery. It's got some punks vibes. It's also got, those who are familiar with Grimplin, he's behind the Nouns project. So there's some tie-ins to the Nouns art here as well. They set the project as really, really cool. So the supply is 69.69, so different than just the standard 10K. They also released several unique, so one-of-one toads that are out there. So several folks can buy their own, grail toads, so to speak, and we've seen them go as high as 125 ETH already. Really cool project, just great vibes. The community is strong, and it's heavily in the CryptoPunks community. And what that means is kind of our take on the market is these toads are in diamond hands. The book is really thin. So this is a product that can absolutely run quickly because we're not going to see a whole lot of dumping on the supply side. And that I think that's already played out, as we've seen a few runs already that have taken the project to 6th floor. So this is definitely one to watch. I think there's a good chance we'll see a 10th floor for the toads sooner rather than later. Let's pull back to the board and talk about a few of the other new joiners from this week. So Habbo Avatars, it's a gaming project. The NFT itself is an avatar for the game world. We've seen some big action this week, 2,700 ETH. I think the floor got as high as 0.7 or 0.8. We can see the average price is around 0.6. So coming out of a mint this week, they're doing really well. The MetaKey dropped their 4th edition this week as well on Wednesday, I believe. They are, the MetaKey team just continues to do really well. They've got 4 MetaKey editions out there. The OG #1 sits at a 7.7 floor. The 2nd edition is 6.7. The 3rd is 1.9 ETH. And then now, as of last night, the 4th edition is 0.37 ETH. So different supplies. Now, a cheaper entry point for those who want to join the MetaKey community. But they seem to continue to deliver. Creature World, 5th on the board, 1,500 ETH volume, primarily based on Shaq. Shaq shocked the Twitter world. He changed his PFP to a creature on Tuesday, and the market reacted in kind. We saw several sales. I think the floor raised over 3 at one point. A lot of believers in the creature project. It seems to be, mostly positive news. Strong community. A lot of folks are thinking that is a potential PFP, that could be here for the long run and, potentially get to that magic 10 ETH floor. A few others we'll touch on here. King Frogs. So Supducks launched their sidekick with the King Frogs. I'll go ahead and pull up their page and let folks kind of take a look at what the King Frogs look like. They're all over the board. So not just your standard kind of center based PFP view. The way this worked, they rolled out 20,000 supply, 10,000 went to the Ducks holders, and then 10,000 were available for public mint. It minted out, and then I believe it got to around a 0.2 or 0.3 floor here, or 0.27. So definitely a good launch for the Sup Ducks team, and congrats to that community. Winter Bears, have to talk about them. They've been kind of dominating the trending board for the last few days. They minted out at 0.03. I want to say that was on Monday. They subsequently surged to about 0.7, 0.8 floor. We saw some tremendous action on the high end, saw buys in the double-digit Ethereum range. It's since been a bit of a roller coaster. It's retraced all the way back down to 0.3. I think this morning it was around a 0.4 floor. They're very cute. Some kind of tie them back to like the Pudgy Penguins in some ways. They clearly have a following, so certainly one to watch a bit. And then we have to talk about kind of our last trending on the board here, the MetaHero Universe DAO tokens. For those who are familiar with Pixel Vault and everything they're doing, requires a PhD in economics to really understand everything that's going on, the tokenomics, all the decisions behind the mint passes, now the planetary DAOs, and how to use them. But essentially what they've done is kind of a public fundraising ICO effort to do with these DAO tokens. If they sell out all of these planetary DAOs, they're set to raise like 35,000 Ethereum, which is over $100 million. And they're well on their way. As of last night, they had sold 6,000 Ethereum worth of their DAO tokens. It's just a quick background. They've got 9 planets that they have their meta heroes tied to each planet. Each planet has its own DAO token. So if you buy the token, you're essentially investing in that planet. It's its own little micro universe. Token holders are a part of the DAO and will receive ongoing profits in some fashion. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying that a bit. There was different prices and different supplies for each of the planet tokens. If you buy all 9, they did promised special utility for those. I think that costs over 20 Ethereum right now to buy all 9. So certainly a decent size investment. I wouldn't say it's controversial, but certainly some concern if MetaHeroes does successfully sell out this massive supply and gets 35,000 ETH. Is that just sucking 35,000 ETH out of our NFT ecosystem? And does that mean other projects are going to start tanking? So, certainly some valid concerns there. I think the counter to that is just money continues to flow in to NFTs in Q4, that everything will continue to be fine. But I think we've already seen some red on the board tied to MetaHero Universe, and it'll be something certainly to keep watching. All right. Well, that concludes our market update. Let's start running through a few of our rotating segments. We'll start with blue chip PFPs. We've covered a few PFPs already. We got to talk about CryptoPunks. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the CryptoPunk sales page. It's been a big week in Punk's world, starting to catch steam again, which as always is an early indicator of NFT market potentially catching fire. So I think we saw something around 60 sales or so in the last 24 hours. So if we look, there's about 12 per row here. Yeah, these first 5 rows are all in the last 24 hours. So about 60 sales. Definitely some highlights. We've got 2 hoodies on the board, one at $299 and one at $330. We will soon be at the point where hoodie punks are just absolutely unobtainable. They're one of the highest sought after, and they continue just to continue to move. We've seen a lot of action with the redheads, smoking redheads specifically. continue to move. That's an elite community. And then the floor is really where we've seen the most of the majority of the rest of this action. Let me see if I can go ahead and pull up what the punk floor is here live while we're talking. Yeah, we're at 123 male, 124 female. So with ETH bouncing back a bit, we're at about $400,000 USD floor for CryptoPunks. And it seems like they're on an upward trajectory. So we'll certainly continue to watch. Punks are moving. In Bored Ape Yacht Club world, their all-time high sale set this week, 769 Ethereum. Machi Big Brother sold the ape. It was a trippy ape. Certainly some eyes on him right now to see what he may do with those proceeds. I don't know that we've seen like a huge spike in the market reaction. Certainly we've seen some steady sales, but a big all-time high sale there for Bored Apes. For the rest of PFPs, we talked about Cool Cats on Monday's show. They've since retraced a little bit below 10, so I think they're sitting in the 9s now for their floor. And then Supducks has retraced a little bit after their King Frogs drop. Now I think their floor sits at around 3.3 here this morning. So definitely continue to watch those two projects. All right, well, let's switch to One of Wonderland. The One of One art land grab is in full swing, and it's absolutely being led right now by Starry Night Capital. The fund started by Vincent Van Doe and partnered with 3AC. So they made 3 buys in the last 24 hours that kind of shocked the market a bit. So they bought 2 pieces from Dmitry Cherniak, famous for his Ringers collection on art blocks. They paid 500 ETH and then 800 ETH for these 2 pieces. They are Ringer-esque, I will say, but they're in a set of 4. So the Starry Night team bought up 2 of those. They then went on to buy the floor X copy piece entitled If the Slipper Fits at 200 Ethereum. So they came in last night, dropped about 1,500 ETH on 3 buys. What a come out party for Starry Night Cap. This is an NFT focused investment fund who is making big headlines. I think we are all expecting more of these types of funds to come. And it'll be curious if they follow Starry Night's footsteps into One of One world, or if they start in other areas like punks or art blocks. In other news, another X copy piece was actually a collab with Eclectic Method called Breaking News. It sold for 91 Ethereum from he was the previous holder. This is actually a piece that myself and a few of my NFT investment partners were looking at 2 or 3 months ago. It was priced at around 200 Ethereum at the time. That felt a little high. We balked at that price. I think the primary reason that this sold for 90, which I'll call cheap, is that on Super Rare, it's attributed to Eclectic Method as the artist, as opposed to Xcopy. So when you search for Xcopy's creations, this piece doesn't come up. It actually comes up in Eclectic Method's set. But overall, I think 91 Ethereum for this piece was a steal. And the buyer will certainly see a nice return. Another one-on-one news, Pussy Riot came out with their own NFT launch this week, had super high following. It sold out immediately. They also dropped a one-of-one piece as a part of this launch, and that piece sold for 40 ETH, entitled Virgin Mary, Please Become a Feminist. So certainly interested to see what else Pussy Riot will be coming out with. No, they've got a cult following. And then our last headline for today, Vincent Van Doe also acting out on his own. He picked up a piece from the Sarah show for 12 Ethereum entitled Portrait of the Cat in Digital Decay. Cat art, always doing well in the NFT space. That sums up our one-of-one updates here for today. For our tool that we want to highlight, I want to talk a little bit about fractional.art. I'm going to pull up their homepage here. So the concept of fractionalization was a huge buzzword in the NFT community and on Twitter back in April, May. Everyone was talking about, okay, when are NFTs going to be fractionalized? Well, shout out to Andy8052 and his team for bringing this concept into a reality. So tagline from their site: you can buy, sell, and mint fractions of NFTs. The idea here is that it provides a cheaper entry point for the masses into blue chip NFTs. So certainly Andy and now DZ5, who's on board as the community manager for Fractional, they understand that the masses can't afford a CryptoPunk, right? But they want to be able to allow them to participate. So what fractionalization does is it enables a CryptoPunk owner to fractionalize that and essentially sell stock shares, as the easiest analogy. If you go to a specific page, you will see, based on how much money you want to put in, let's say you want to put in 1 Ethereum, you can see how many shares that would get you. You could see the implied valuation of the NFT at that time. You can see what amount of the supply is still available. I find it to be a pretty user-friendly interface. I've certainly bought a few projects on Fractional, really just to test it out. I absolutely believe in this product. I think it's the #1 way for newcomers to get involved who don't really know, which projects may be the best to follow or don't want to spend the time, to watch the market for 10 to 12 hours a day. So the whole set it and forget it mindset, I think, is easiest done at a small scale with Fractional. My advice to someone who wants to get into NFTs for the first time, doesn't have a huge budget and doesn't have much time to spend, I would tell them to buy shares of the Fractional floor punk on fractional.art and just walk away for a few years and then come back. I think that's really the best entry point. So definitely encourage users to go out to Fractional, check it out for yourself. Certainly a really cool tool. All right, so last segment, I want to touch on a few daily drops or upcoming drops here. The biggest drop on my radar here for today is Capsule House. The artist behind Capsule House is Searlight. So for those who have followed our show, we've been talking about Searlight in our one-of-one updates a few different times. He sold a few pieces for 60 Ethereum and 67 Ethereum last week. Definitely in the top tier blue chip one-of-one artists. So he is launching a 10,000 unique PFP style generative project. The pre-sale started a few days ago. I think they've sold about 3,000 or so in pre-sale. The public sale opens here in about 4 hours. So 2 p.m. Central Time, this project will open up at a 0.08 price. Certainly I'll be trying to mint, really just based on my belief in Searlight. Of course, do your own research. I think one piece that's really cool about this project is they are going to raffle off Searlight one-of-ones to anyone who holds the Capsule Houses for a period of, I think, 28 days or 30 days. So if you hold this for a month, you essentially get a ticket to a raffle for a one-of-one Searlight, which, as I just mentioned, the market value is at around 50 Ethereum right now. So I think there will be a lot of buying and speculation on this project tied to that. Another drop coming up today, the artist Ravi behind Explosions of Color is dropping a new set called the Singularity. Not a whole lot of details released. He promised to release more details here today about mint price and volume. We touched on explosions of color previously. Just a beautiful set. I think the 4 rows as high as 20. It's since retraced a bit. I think it's closer to 10 now. But Ravi already getting a strong following. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on the Singularity drop today. And last, I want to highlight one Art Blocks factory drop here today. It's entitled Letters to My Future Self. The artist is Ryan Struhl. Ryan actually has 3 other projects that predate his Art Blocks drop here. They're entitled Illumination, Imagine Colors, and Inertial Moments. It's generative art, different supply caps, illuminations instead of 30, Imagine Colors 100, and Initial Moments 150. I think Inertial Moments caught the most attention about a month ago. They look similar to Fidenza's, but in fact, Struhl's project predated Fidenza's, so some kind of consider them to be, the first Fidenza-like set. I'll be curious to see how Struhl's factory drop goes today, and what type of reaction we get potentially for some of his 3 OG projects. So check those out if you haven't seen them before. All right, really, that was our content for today. That was our show. Thanks to our friends at IC Tools for sponsoring. Again, if you're looking to get started in NFT trading and investing, you need the right data at your fingertips. IC Tools is a great place to start. Head over to ic.tools to check out their products and use their free version to see which projects are trending, get a feel for it. If you like it, go ahead and sign up for the premium. It's only 0.03 ETH. That's less than most projects cost. IC Tools, your home for NFT alpha. I will tee up our Monday show. I'm really excited. We're doing our first NFT project interview. So we will be interviewing the team at BitLectro Labs to talk about their upcoming NFT project drop. So make sure to tune in for that, and we'll give a few teasers from our Twitter page. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe in those NFT streets. Bye-bye.